The implosion of the Sussexes. Meghan Markle's Archewell charity scam and as ever lies have finally been exposed, and an astonishing double blow for the faith.
But Harry doesn't want to know any of that truth. That's the trouble with Harry. He just likes, because in a simple way, the paparazzi my mother. Well, it wasn't as simple as that at all.
Stop everything for a second, because what Tom Bower just spilled about Meghan Markle's 2026 money mess is something her PR team would rather stay buried. Over $23 million worth of jam just sitting in a warehouse. The Archewell Foundation reportedly flagged by California for financial issues. A Netflix series ranked 1,217, and a woman who once truly believed she was on her way to becoming a billionaire. Tom Bower hasn't missed once, and what he's saying now about how this could all play out is shocking. Stay locked in, because this story takes a serious turn before it even begins to look up.
Their problem is that they've got no future. I mean, as ever, all her product, of course, is a complete disaster. She's got no Netflix series. She hasn't got any project at all. And they are literally wallowing in a maze where to go. And so predictably.
Here's the part everyone keeps misunderstanding. People still think Harry and Meghan are swimming in cash, so they shrug it off like it's no big deal. But Tom Bower isn't just talking about their bank accounts. He's describing a full-scale meltdown, a downfall he saw coming years ago, one that's now unraveling right in front of the world, too massive to spin, disguise, or fix with another PR stunt. Bower spent years digging deep into their world. He spoke with over 80 insiders, former staff, royal connections, Hollywood execs, and what he uncovered paints one of the wildest pictures ever seen. It's the story of crafted fame colliding headfirst with cold, unfiltered reality.
Years ago, we were talking about Meghan Markle running for president. And just, I mean, what a decline, how irrelevant they've become today. Do the Sussexes still pose an institutional risk, or are they now culturally sidelined?
I mean, an institutional risk to the British monarchy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. A huge risk.
Really?
Absolutely, because there's no doubt as they become more desperate.
This is a woman who walked away from one of the most powerful families on the planet, grabbed a $100 million Netflix deal, dropped a lifestyle brand, built a charity, and promised she'd change the world by 2026. But now Tom Bower is standing over what's left, with receipts in hand. Let's break it all down. Let's start with the Archewell Foundation, because this is where, according to Tom Bower, the truth about this whole situation really shows itself.
I predicted it in the book, but even I would not have thought it'd be that accelerated. I think personally, they've separated their professional lives, but I think what's really a great problem for them now, as of the last few weeks, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Right.
The Netflix series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from here. I think she has a major problem. And I think as of this week, the signal for her great problem.
When Harry and Meghan launched Archewell back in 2020, they said it was a global mission built on compassion, community, and change, named after their son, Archie. That was the fairy tale version, but Bower paints a very different picture. According to him, and based on the foundation's own publicly available tax filings, which anyone can check, things didn't exactly go as planned.
I think the problem with Meghan is that she never actually says anything in interviews. It is so carefully controlled, so carefully chosen what she's going to say, that she says really pretty well nothing. Now, is it because she's got nothing to say, or is it because she's fearful that if she did move off the benign script she would actually get into real trouble. I think it's the latter. She's clever enough to know that to retain her mystery and status, she should reveal nothing about herself.
In 2021, Archewell reportedly brought in $13 million, their highest year ever. That was the same year the Netflix deal landed and the book advance dropped. They were on top of the world. Fast forward to 2024, and donations had crashed to just $2.1 million, down from $5.3 million the year before. Meanwhile, total expenses for that same year hit $5.1 million.
It is clear exposure of what Archewell really is. A PR project, nothing more. It's disgusting.
It really is, Dan. And one of the things is that Harry and Meghan have always said service is universal. They're going to be doing charity in the States and all these things. And it's just completely and utterly false. It was just a lie from the very face of it. And we've seen this endlessly. Meghan praises herself constantly for being this great humanitarian. But when you really think about it, what has she done? I mean, even before she married Harry, she was part of World Vision.
Do the math. They were spending more than twice what was coming in. That's not just a dip in donations, that's a major financial storm brewing. Here's the part that Tom Bower calls the most revealing detail of all. Out of the reported $5.1 million in expenses, only $1.25 million went directly toward charitable work.
They are using Archewell to fund their lifestyle, not to change the world, because the security bill alone said to be around $2 million a year, with money flowing out of the charity. So Archewell actually recorded total expenses of $5.1 million, according to its latest 990 form. Salaries for 2024 were listed at $913,000. Expenses were up 54% year on year, soaring from $3.3 million.
The rest, almost $4 million, was spent on salaries, security, travel, and administrative costs. That security bill was said to be close to $2 million a year, coming straight out of a charity fund. Bower's been firm about one thing. Archewell was never set up like a traditional charity. According to him, it was structured more like a business tool, helping manage the couple's financials while they were bringing in serious money from entertainment and publishing projects.
Really does. I was shocked, Dan. Like when I first initially saw this post on X about it, I was like, no, there's just no way, because there's so much misinformation out there about Harry and Meghan in some ways. But then I was actually putting the numbers in, and you're getting stock counts. And I'm like, you should never ever see that on a website, and in case, unless they have like one or two left, they will let you know that. But to have potentially 37,000 fruit spreads sitting out there is astronomically bad, and to move them so slowly, again, this was just anecdotal, is insane. And to think that the website is so poorly constructed that you can see any of this information, again, just proves how poorly managed this business is, how much of a terrible businesswoman Meghan Markle is, and how much she didn't put any forethought into this and how little it's moved.
Now, that kind of setup isn't unusual. Many public figures and high earners do something similar for legal and tax purposes. But what makes the Archewell situation stand out is how messy the execution became. At its busiest point, Archewell reportedly had 5 full-time staff members. But by the end of 2024, the team had shrunk. 2 or 3 people were let go, which was more than half the staff. The official reason? A rebrand. But here's where it gets confusing. Some former employees were reportedly told that the charity might be shutting down.
While this is just a small snapshot and not an overall indicator, it seems to confirm what many have suspected. Meghan Markle's as ever gamble was a time suck and a money drain. It just seems that the audience for the products is rather small, and massively overstocking seems to indicate a lack of market research and overconfidence that will result in product waste. Only time will tell how long this company will last, and then you have quite rightly given credit to Saint Meghan Markle subreddit and the user KikiLove777 for discovering this obvious error in the website. Brittany, this is disastrous. This is catastrophic. It proves what you have been saying for some time, that as ever is a flop. is a disaster. But the fact that this has been allowed to happen, Brittany, shows you what a shoddy, substandard, amateur hour business Meghan is running.
Only for Meghan's team to later correct that and say it was just restructuring. Soon after, the Archewell website quietly went offline, later returning with a fresh name, Archewell Philanthropies, and a whole new look. Bauer says this kind of switch-up isn't new. It's a pattern. Every time things start going sideways, the story suddenly shifts. The website vanishes.
I'm hearing that they have huge financial problems. That they are eating into capital, and that they sort of, to an extent, been for much of their marriage into some capital, and also he doesn't have that amount of money. People seem to think that because he's the king's son, he's rolling in money. He never was. I mean, in terms of Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates, he's poverty stricken, but they have financial problems, and a part of those financial problems are that Netflix is not funding the manufacture of the produce. The way Harry and Meghan presented the deal was that they would be partners with Netflix.
A spokesperson steps in, and the hope is supposed to be that the public won't notice. But people are noticing, especially after the state of California reportedly issued a delinquency notice. That means Archewell hadn't filed the required documents properly, and at that time technically wasn't allowed to raise or spend charitable funds. For an organization that presents itself as a global force for good, that's not a minor paperwork mix-up. It's a serious red flag. Now let's talk about American Riviera Orchard.
The hope was that Netflix would fund, and the fact is that Netflix's funding was very limited for the first line of what was never produced, and because they were not prepared to put up good money on something that was so highly speculative. And the proof of the pudding, Dan, is in the eating of the figures, because according to Meghan, the line was sold out within 45 minutes. That tells you that the produce was in the low thousands. Several years ago, Arnold Scarsi, the great American, Canadian couturier, put me in touch with QVC to do a jewelry line. And I spoke to the head of QVC about.
Because if Archewell's situation looks like a slow-motion breakdown, this one's more like a full-on explosion. Tom Bauer had been sounding alarms from day one, saying Meghan's business vision leaned more on image than solid business strategy, and the numbers seemed to back him up. When American Riviera Orchard officially launched in April 2024, the headlines screamed that Meghan's jam sells out in hours. The PR push was flawless. But then came the twist.
Prince Harry broke down in big boy tears as he gave some testimony today in his lawsuit against the Daily Mail, claiming that they have made his wife's life an absolute misery. Well, Harry, I'm sorry. Why does that have any bearing on this case at all? You're talking about articles that were written between 2001 and 2013, 3 years before you allegedly met your wife. So what does Meghan have anything to do with this trial? Well, as the answer turns out, it has everything to do with Prince Harry's motivation and his miserable existence right now, because his wife is miserable, she's making his life miserable, and everybody's living in absolute misery.
Someone realized that if you added large quantities of the product to the online cart, it exposed the real inventory numbers. What they found left everyone stunned. Reports say Meghan's brand is currently holding around $23 million worth of unsold products. That's over 137,000 fruit spread gift boxes stacked in a warehouse right now.
What happens in situations like that is that you have to fund the merchandise, which has to be at, they figure, well, it might sell 30,000. So you might then say, well, we'll buy in 25,000. So the stock has to be there for when the merchant is merching the merchandise on the television or on Netflix or wherever it's going to drop.
What was meant to be a luxury launch has turned into a massive stockpile, and it's raising major questions about what's really going on behind the glossy marketing. Guess how many products were reportedly sold in a recent 24-hour period? Just 26. At that pace, it would take nearly 9 years to clear out all that stock.
The money is officially drying up for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. As more and more news of the dissolution of Archewell Foundation comes forward, it's very, very clear that this restructuring is due to a lack of one very, very key thing, which is money. In fact, Harry and Meghan sold themselves to a dinner table at $100,000 a pop to raise money for Archewell.
And remember, these are perishable items with expiration dates. On top of that, there are said to be 44,000 jars of orange marmalade, 62,000 candles, and 80,000 floral sprinkles just sitting in storage. Tom Bower doesn't sugarcoat it. He says the original sellout story was crafted for publicity.
They are at the moment facing a real crisis. Meghan and Harry's crisis, completely of their own making, is they have no major projects, no major money earners. And so they're more desperate than ever.
According to him, only a few hundred units were likely released at first, just enough to spark headlines and social media buzz. Those attention-grabbing sold-out claims then helped justify mass-producing hundreds of thousands more, under the belief that early curiosity meant lasting demand. But it didn't. People bought once, and most didn't come back. One online reviewer even compared it to a supermarket jam.
The problem lies is the fact that Harry and Meghan, when they do have a camera in front of them and when they are in a position to communicate with the public, they're not promoting that charity. They're typically complaining about what's going on in their lives or what happened 4 years ago. So people don't know that there's an opportunity there to collaborate with them and make the world a better place with their charity.
Writing that it tastes like Smuckers, but costs $36 a jar. That kind of feedback didn't exactly inspire repeat buyers. And as for Netflix's involvement with American Riviera Orchard, Bower says their support has been minimal.
I mean, an institutional risk to the British monarchy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. A huge risk.
Really?
Absolutely, because there's no doubt as they become more desperate financially and reputationally and seeking a purpose, they will do some very foolish things. And whatever Andrew has done, they will double the problem because they will not be controllable from London. So I do think that after Andrew, Charles and William do have this problem with the Montecito royals. Yeah.
The company reportedly wasn't ready to risk big money on something that uncertain. The press might have fallen for the instant sellout narrative, but real customers didn't stick around. Tom Bower uses a phrase to describe how Netflix is treating Harry and Meghan now, and it's sharp. Slow ghosting. That massive $100 million deal, once hyped as their ticket to becoming global content powerhouses, has turned into something very different.
It was a Channel 5 investigation as to the state of the Sussex's finances. Now, we know they didn't move to a 2-bedroom cottage somewhere in the middle of nowhere. They're living in quite a large mansion in Montecito. And one of the things that Prince Harry made very public when he left the royal family, one of the things that he was quite disgruntled about was the fact that his father basically cut him off financially. So really they were in a state where they had to make a lot of money and a lot of money fast. He blundered in a video and said, the Netflix deal was an idea that was pitched.
It turns out that 2 seasons was actually just 1 season split into 2 parts, and the numbers speak louder than any headline. The series With Love, Meghan ranked around 1217th on Netflix, while the holiday special didn't even crack the top 1,000, reportedly landing around 1,500th place. Imagine that. A public figure with global media attention, a huge production budget, and a $100 million platform.
Are they insane? What is happening? There is complete and utter chaos going on. The Meg and Herald are taking their rebrands far too literally at this point. Archewell, their charity effort, has not only changed its name from a foundation to Philanthropies, which is even worse branding, I might add.
Yet viewers just weren't tuning in. Tom Bower's take on why it flopped is straight to the point. He says Meghan's content lacks spark and feels overproduced. According to him, everything looks too polished, too planned, and too cautious, like every move is rehearsed. She wanted to step into the lifestyle queen once ruled by Martha Stewart, but what audiences got was a woman gently moving pretzels from one bowl to another and calling it cooking.
I mean, extraordinary that the non-disclosure agreements are so draconian, so watertight, that nobody dares sell their story. I mean, that is what's quite astonishingly clever of Meghan and her lawyers, to protect their reputation and all the dreadful things that have happened in Montecito behind the high walls. But my book reveals a bit more about that, my future book. But that's a teaser.
People who worked behind the scenes allegedly told Bower that Meghan was laser-focused on her on-camera image, so much so that it killed the natural warmth she wanted to show. While most chefs are in the moment, hair tied back and hands in the mix, Meghan was more concerned about maintaining a perfect magazine look. The result? Something that looked elegant but felt staged.
Other expenses recorded at $2.9 million. Meanwhile, donations and grants to the group dipped from $5.3 million in 2023 to $2.1 million in 2024. Insiders skeptical of how Archewell, which doled out $1.25 million in grants in 2024, can continue. The source said if they're shooting out grants, then that's a net loss and they're not bringing in that much money.
Bower adds that Netflix executives saw the problem within 6 months. They realized she wasn't creating content that truly connected with audiences. Many insiders expected bigger storytelling, maybe a royal documentary, or even a major personal reveal. But instead, the spotlight stayed on flower arranging and jam making.
Want to get into the details of this, Brittany, because the details here matter, given that everything Harry and Meghan do is topspin, trying to convince the world, and very often the mainstream media are sucked in, that everything's okay, but it's really not. And the first revelation in regards to Archewell is that the charity is down to just 2 staffers.
According to Bower, Netflix's remaining first look deal with them is just a polite way of stepping back without making a big public scene, the entertainment industry's version of slowly not returning calls. It turns out that those 2 seasons were actually just 1 season split into 2 parts, and the numbers tell the real story loud and clear. The show, with Love Meghan, reportedly landed around 1,217th on Netflix, while the holiday special dropped even lower, around 1,500th.
I'm really abhorrent.
Well, I go further than that. I mean, all those things can be excusable as youth and all the rest of it. But the support of Meghan in her full story about the conversation, which was banter, and I know that from first hand, and was really inconsequential, to support that was his act of folly, because he was already a grown man at that stage. He knew the consequence of it.
He was pretty grown when he...
Think about that. A global celebrity with non-stop media coverage, a huge production budget, and a $100 million deal, yet viewers just weren't tuning in. Tom Bower's take is brutally honest. He says the content just didn't click because it felt too polished and lacked any real energy. According to him, every scene seemed calculated and perfectly staged instead of natural and fun. Meghan wanted to claim the lifestyle spotlight once owned by Martha Stewart, but instead of cozy, hands-on charm, what people got was someone gently moving pretzels from one dish to another while calling it cooking. Those who worked behind the scenes allegedly told Bower that Meghan was deeply focused on how she looked on camera, down to every tiny detail.
Take Meghan Markle 9 years to get through her signature fruit spread gift box stock. That's seemingly what the math says, as an error in her As Ever website allows customers to not only see the entire amount in stock, but purchase them to the tune of over $5 million. This gives the greatest insight to the failure of As Ever so far, and the continued failure of Meghan Markle to manage products, websites, and brands, as this kind of information should never be publicly available.
But that obsession with the perfect image ended up removing the genuine warmth she was trying to share. Real chefs dive in with confidence, hair tied back and sleeves rolled up. But Meghan, according to sources, was more concerned about the camera angle than the kitchen energy. The final product looked polished, but felt emotionally flat. Bauer also says that Netflix executives picked up on the problem pretty quickly. Within 6 months, they knew the spark wasn't there. The expectation was for something big, maybe a royal insight or a powerful personal story. But instead, audiences got floral decor tutorials and jam jars.
So much of the smoke and mirrors in the early days of the launch of that business was connected to the scarcity strategy, which meant that virtually no product was put on sale, right? So that it would sell out. And so that she got the good headlines, or what she thought was the good headlines. But now, the true extent of the stock available for As Ever has been revealed.
And about that first look deal, Bauer claims it's Netflix's quiet way of stepping back without public drama, a soft exit wrapped in professionalism. It's the entertainment industry's subtle version of not calling back, all while keeping the headlines calm and controlled. While everything was falling apart in California, Prince Harry was across the ocean in a London courtroom, and things there weren't going smoothly either. He was testifying in his lawsuit against a major newspaper group over alleged own interceptions that reportedly took place between 2001 and 2013, years before Meghan even entered his life.
Revealed how catastrophically bad things are going for Harry and Meghan. Archewell is essentially done. Any aspect of their charity has essentially collapsed completely, and it's been revealed for what it really always was, which is
But right in the middle of his testimony, Harry got emotional and said, "They've made my wife's life an absolute misery." His wife, mentioned in a case about events that happened long before they'd even met. Tom Bauer's view of this moment is striking. He believes Harry has become so shaped by Meghan's perspective that he now filters his entire life story through her lens. And things got tense. The judge reportedly had to step in 3 separate times, asking Harry to stop arguing with opposing lawyers and to simply answer the questions directly. Imagine that, a senior court judge reminding a royal to stay calm and composed under oath. Meanwhile, Meghan wasn't in London at all. She was said to be in California, sharing updates online, while Harry faced the media storm alone in court. The contrast was impossible to ignore. Bauer's long-standing observation hits hard.
Did he actually donate to Archewell through this charity buzz thing to sit at the table with Harry and Meghan, so Meghan had a buffer and he could get a tax write-off? I don't know how much money he makes, but that's just a funny idea. But this is a couple who had everything and they seemingly have squandered it.
He says Harry made his own choices, but that image of him, visibly upset in a British courtroom while Meghan posted from Los Angeles, captures their current reality in one picture. It's a snapshot that says a lot about their relationship's public dynamic, and it's definitely not the story they wanted people to see. If Prince Harry loses this case, the legal fees alone could climb into the tens of millions of pounds, a staggering amount. And according to Tom Bauer, many of the warnings he made years ago are now coming true, one after another. His latest insight into where this could all lead is definitely worth paying attention to.
There's been leaked financial details from the Archewell Foundation that's quite fascinating because it shows that there's 2 donors who've given one of them $15 million and one $3 million.
First, the financial picture looks rough. Bauer believes Harry and Meghan are maintaining a lifestyle that would normally require around $400 to $600 million in total wealth to comfortably sustain. But Harry's own estimated net worth reportedly sits closer to $35 to $40 million. They're not out of funds, but their spending pace and shrinking income streams are raising real concerns. Netflix seems to be quietly stepping back. American Riviera Orchard is said to be sitting on $23 million worth of stock, moving only a few dozen jars a day.
He is hoping that she's going to become a billionaire off all of this, which again is total insanity. I think the woman's expectations are so unrealistic.
And the Archewell Foundation has faced serious financial challenges. Spotify parted ways with them years ago, and one report even claimed Harry auctioned off dinner table seats for $100,000 each to raise funds for the foundation. Bauer says that move speaks volumes. If you have to sell access to your presence at an event, the public perception of your brand has already taken a hit. Then comes the issue of security.
Come to was never, as Lady Colin Campbell has christened Meghan Markle's lifestyle business. Now, Brittany, you have been on this right from the start. It has been obvious that this business is a disaster.
Bauer believes Harry's ongoing push for UK taxpayer-funded protection isn't just about safety, it's also about visibility and maintaining influence back home. He suggests it's a strategy to re-establish a link to King Charles and the royal structure itself. As for reconciliation, Bauer claims it's less about emotional healing and more about financial stability. Reports suggest King Charles has stayed firm, refusing to provide direct financial support. Even as Harry mentioned my father's grandchildren during legal proceedings, insiders say the king hasn't shifted his stance. He won't fund his son's lifestyle, no matter the pressure. And that brings us to where things stand right now, 2026.
Well, absolutely, but don't even believe that there were 5 options. What you really saw were Harry's and Meghan's fantasy narrative, which they call the truth.
A year that was supposed to mark Meghan and Harry's big comeback, but instead feels like a turning point they didn't expect. According to Tom Bauer, this isn't just a public image issue anymore, it's a credibility crisis. Every headline, every brand deal, every statement they make now faces more scrutiny than ever before. Behind the scenes, sources say their team has been scrambling to reshape the narrative, new branding concepts, podcast pitches, lifestyle partnerships.
Haven't been back since. Why wouldn't you nurture that popularity? It's nothing they do makes sense to me.
But major companies are reportedly hesitant. Some brands worry that the royal drama overshadows the message, while others quietly say the couple's influence just doesn't convert to sales like it used to. The shine that once made them Hollywood's hottest story has started to fade. And yet, Tom Bauer insists the real problem runs deeper. He says Harry and Meghan built their empire on attention, but attention is unpredictable.
Not Harry and Meghan, and she didn't want to play second fiddle.
That is so true.
Once the novelty wears off, you need substance to keep people engaged, and that's exactly where he claims they've fallen short. Bauer's latest interviews paint a striking image of two people caught between two worlds, royalty and celebrity, never fully belonging to either. He describes Harry as restless, always searching for meaning, while Meghan, he says, is fighting to keep the spotlight on her terms. Still, Bauer warns that the story isn't over. In fact, he predicts a major moment is coming.
Harry likes to portray Meghan as Diana, but they've got absolutely nothing in common at all.
A move so bold it will either repair their image or finally break the illusion completely. Whether it's a new media project, a re-entry into royal circles, or something entirely unexpected, Bauer believes Meghan has one last big play left. King Charles hasn't changed his stance, And that's where things start to look even more serious. According to Tom Bauer, the most uncertain moment for the royal family is right now. He says a couple facing shrinking income streams have every reason to use whatever royal connection or insider stories they still hold to stay in the spotlight.
Well, I do think the Sussex overdrive is unbelievable.
Every interview, every public appearance, every potential book deal, each one still draws its value from the royal status they claimed they left behind. Bauer warned about this dynamic years ago, and his words hit even harder today. You can't build a long-term brand on sympathy. Eventually, people stop being outraged. They just stop caring. And that's exactly where things seem to be heading in 2026. The drama, the fascination, it's all fading. What's left now are the numbers and the optics. A woman reportedly sitting on 137,000 jars of fruit spread. A man seen tearing up in a London courtroom over a case that wasn't even about his wife. And a charity flagged by California regulators for financial filing issues. Each headline adds another layer to a story that's become less about glamour and more about reality. Bauer says the ending has already started writing itself, not through gossip, but through paperwork, court records, and business filings. The story that began as a royal rebellion is now documented in financial ledgers, legal transcripts, and warehouses full of unsold luxury jam priced at $42 a jar. And he's not backing down. Bauer insists that based on his track record, this saga still has twists left to unfold. So stay tuned, because if history is any clue, this story isn't wrapping up anytime soon.